For 12 years, we tried to have a baby, and the month I finally caught her, she told me she was pregnant. I had to sit there at our table and act happy about one of them while I already knew the other. We had been married 12 years here in Fulton County, and for most of it, we were trying. Doctors, charts, the apps that tell you the day, 2 rounds of the expensive help that our insurance did not cover. The second round alone cost $14,000, and we spent 2 years paying it off on the joint card. Unexplained, they called it. Both of us checked out fine, and it just never happened. We made our peace with it, and I stopped bringing it up because bringing it up only hurt her. There was a name jar on the dresser for years, folded slips of paper, her handwriting and mine. When the trying stopped, the jar went to a closet shelf, and neither one of us ever threw it out. I worked the overnight freight dock at the airport, 10 at night to 6 or 7 in the morning, and I have run that dock for 9 years. My wife works the front office at a middle school, so her afternoons are free and her summers are free. She was home nights while I worked, and we saw each other at dinner and on weekends. The first thing that changed was the phone. She started leaving it on the counter face up, unlocked, and that was new, and it scared me worse than hiding it ever would have. Twice that spring, the passenger seat in her car was racked all the way back, leg room for somebody over 6 feet. I am 5'9". I put it back where it belonged both times, and I said nothing. Then the schedule started sliding. A staff meeting that ran late, a friend from work going through a divorce who needed company, a school thing on a Saturday that no other parent seemed to attend. Each one had an answer ready. My wife was never a smooth liar. Now she was. The Saturday school thing is the one I checked. She left at 9 in a dress that was wrong for a work event, and around noon, I drove past the school with 2 coffees, thinking I would surprise her. The lot was empty, chained at the entrance. That evening, she told me the event had moved to the district building, and she said it before I even asked, which meant she had seen my car or someone had. I drove home sick to my stomach. She had lied right to my face, but I did not accuse her. A buddy of mine accused his wife once with no proof. She just got better at hiding it. So I bought a small GPS tracker online, $40, and on a Sunday while she was inside a church we do not really attend, I put it under the plastic in her wheel well. Her car is in both our names. I checked that much first. I just could not take not knowing. School started back the first week of August, and her week filled up the way it always had. The first week of Data was ordinary. The school, the grocery, her sisters. The second week, there were 2 places on opposite sides of the county, and she went to them on different nights. One was an apartment complex off a state road on the south end near the airport, 10 minutes from my dock. The other was his mother's old house on the north side in a neighborhood of starter homes, and she went there less often, but she stayed longer. For a week, I kept inventing innocent reasons. A coworker on the south end, the divorcing friend on the north side, and the tracker kept proving me wrong. I knew what I had, but the tracker could not prove who was behind those doors. So I hired a private investigator. A lawyer's office gave me her name. She was ex-military, and she had been doing this work for 15 years. She looked at my 2 addresses and my nights, and she said, "Give me 3 weeks, and do not change one thing about how you act at home." She asked me questions nobody had asked me yet. What shifts I worked, what car she thought I drove, whether she knew my badge, let me leave the dock mid-shift, whether anybody at her school knew my face. She told me the tracker would never be part of the case. Her report would. I paid her $5,100. 9 days into those 3 weeks, my wife sat me down at dinner, took both of my hands, and told me she was pregnant. 12 years of doctors and charts and quiet crying in the bathroom. And now, here it was. She cried. Part of me had wanted that sentence for a decade, and that part was happy. And I mean actually happy, for about 4 seconds. The rest of me was doing math. 9 days of surveillance, 2 addresses, an investigator with a camera out there working for me. I held my wife while she cried, and I said the right things. The next morning, I called the investigator and told her. She got quiet for a second, and then she asked, "Do you want me to stop?" I said, "No, finish it." Either way, I had to know before that baby came. For the rest of those 3 weeks, my wife wanted to talk about baby names at dinner. She liked her grandmother's name for a girl, and she said it with her hand flat on her stomach, and I agreed it was a beautiful name. It was the hardest acting I have ever done. When the 3 weeks were up, the investigator called me and said, "I am done, and I need you to come in and bring somebody you trust if you have somebody, because this is a lot." I went alone. Her office was one room, and she had a folder for each address waiting on the desk. She walked me through the first one, page by page, and did not dress anything up. The apartment on the south end was a man who works ramp operations at the airport. Different crew, different shift, but my badge gets me into the same gates his does. She had him and my wife photographed in the parking lot, at the door, and at a burger spot on the state road, 6 different nights. The house on the north side was a man who coaches at a gym. She had told me she quit 2 years ago. That one sent me back through the card statements, and there it was, $42 a month, 2 years past quitting, billed to some fitness LLC with nothing about his gym in the name. The same joint card we had used to pay off the second round of trying. She had been paying his gym the whole time, and I had signed off on that charge without reading it maybe 20 times. Photographs, timestamps, her car, his door. 2 men, 2 sides of the county, 2 different nights of the week. The gym charges went back 2 years. How long the airport one had been going, nobody ever found out. She showed me one more photograph she had held back. The 2 of them in the apartment doorway, and there was no innocent version of that one. Then she closed both folders and said, "There is another investigator working one of these addresses." I said, "What the hell? Are you serious?" She said, "I know a surveillance car when I park behind one. Somebody else is paying to watch the man in the little house on the north side, and my money says it is a wife." She was right. The coach was married. His wife had caught him in something small the year before, and they had agreed to counseling. And from what came out later, he kept every appointment and said the right words, while my wife's car sat outside his house on the nights in between. His wife had hired an investigator of her own, and her investigator and mine had been photographing the same front door from 2 different parking lots. The week my folders were finished, that woman quit the counseling, and she filed for divorce first, before I did. I never called her, and she never called me. Our lawyers ended up trading paperwork months later because her case and my case had the same man in the middle of them. 2 nights after the folders, I saw the ramp man at work across the tarmac at shift change, 100 feet away, loading a container like any other man on any other night. He did not know my face. I watched him for a minute, and then I went back to my dock and ran my shift. For those 2 days, the folders never came home. They sat in the freight office safe at work with a supervisor who owed me a favor and did not ask what they were. I took my folders to a divorce lawyer 2 days after I got them. He went through the photographs page by page, and then he told me how Georgia works. Adultery is grounds for divorce here, and on the money, the law here is blunt. He said, in this state, if her adultery caused this separation, and it did, she is barred from alimony. She will not get a penny. 12 years married, and if we prove it, the law will not hand her $1 of support. Then he said, now the other side of it. She is pregnant. In Georgia, a baby born during a marriage is presumed to be the husband's child. If we file now, the case will move, but nothing about that baby gets decided until the baby is born and there is a test. This divorce has a pause built into it. Then he gave me 2 instructions. Do not sleep with her again. If you do, the court can call it forgiveness, and the photographs stop mattering, and pay whatever the court orders for her while she is pregnant, on the first of the month, every month, without one complaint. I filed on a Wednesday. The complaint said adultery, and it did not name either man. My lawyer said we did not need them. We had her. She was served at the school in the front office at the end of the day after the buses ran, and I asked the process server to wait for the buses. She called me 14 times that night. I answered the last one. My lawyer wanted one controlled conversation written down after in my notes, and that is what this was. She said, "How could you do this to me while I am pregnant?" I said, "There are 2 addresses in the folder my lawyer has, and after that, everything you say to me goes through him." All of a sudden, she got quiet, and then she said, "The baby changes all of this. You know it does." She was not crying when she said it. She was already using the baby on me. The first night after the serve, we were still under the same roof, and she stood outside the bedroom I had moved into and talked through the door for 20 minutes. Explanations, then anger, then the baby, then nothing. I sat on my side of that door and never said one word. In the morning, her side of the closet was thinned out and her car was gone. Her sister tried me first before her father did. She called and said my wife was falling apart, that the stress was dangerous for the baby, and that if I would just drop the adultery wording, my wife would sign whatever I wanted. I said, "The wording is what happened." She hung up on me, and that was the whole negotiation. Her father called me the week after the serve. One call. He asked if it was true. I said, "There are photographs." He did not ask to see them. He said, "Then you do what you have to do, son." He told me that day that he was done with her, and I believed him. I took a month-to-month place near the airport that same week and left her the house until the sale. We lived apart after that, and the case moved slow on purpose, and my wife got bigger with a baby that was maybe mine, and there was nothing to do but work nights and wait. Somewhere in those months, somebody went over her car, because when I finally got the tracker back, it had been moved 2 inches and put back wrong. They never found the right spot. I had stopped checking it long before that anyway. She stopped telling me anything about the pregnancy once the alimony ask died. I learned the due date from a court filing. Her lawyer asked for temporary support and got it, $900 a month for the months of the pause. I paid it on the first of every month, and my lawyer made sure every payment landed in the file. Her side floated a settlement early on, alimony for 8 years, the house, and me signing a birth certificate the day that baby came. My lawyer did not even bring it to me for an answer. He sent back the photographs, the nights at one address, 2 years of charges behind the other, 2 men, date stamped, sworn to by a licensed investigator. The alimony request disappeared. No announcement, just gone from the next round of papers. There was one settlement conference before the end, in a room at her lawyer's office, and my wife came to it 8 months pregnant and dressed for church. Her side tried the baby one more time in that room, softer this time, a family provision, they called it, money set aside now, before the birth, as a show of good faith. My lawyer said nothing gets promised before the test, and if the child was mine, I would do everything the law asks. Nobody brought it up again. After the conference, nothing happened for months. My lawyer said no judge here was going to sign anything until that baby came. So, the file sat ready, and everybody waited. The coach's wife finished her case before mine finished, because hers had no baby to wait on. She took the house, and he moved into the little place on the north side full time. the same front door from all those photographs. I hear she is doing all right. He does not coach at that gym anymore. On the last night of surveillance, my investigator had walked over to the other car, tapped the glass, and held up her license. The other investigator held up hers. They sorted out which door each was watching and went back to their cars. My investigator told me they compared notes over coffee when both cases closed, and that is how I know the coach's wife was 2 weeks ahead of me. Update: the baby came in the spring, a girl, healthy. I am glad she is healthy. The final hearing came 6 weeks after that, and it took under 15 minutes. Her side did not contest the grounds, and the judge said the word adultery from the bench twice, reading the findings, and granted the divorce, with the split leaning my way on the house money, and her half of the equity is all the law left her to live on. The decree ordered the test, a swab from her, a swab from me, sealed and logged, the whole procedure. The swab happened at a lab office, her appointment at 9, mine at 9:30, scheduled apart on purpose. We overlapped anyway in the parking lot, her carrying the baby in one of those bucket seats with a blanket over her. She looked at me, and I looked at the blanket, and nobody said one word, and that was the last time I ever stood near either of them. 16 days later, the results came back. I am not her father, 0.0%. The amended order came by email from my lawyer with one line above the attachment: "You are free." I opened it in the break room at 4 in the morning, and then I went back out and finished unloading a plane. It took my name out of every line. No custody, no support, no ties. Which of the two men is her father? I never asked. My ex-wife knows, or she does not. When the house sold, we did the walkthrough on separate days, and I took mine on a Monday morning after shift. The second bedroom was painted yellow with a stenciled border up near the ceiling. That was the room we had planned for 10 years. They had painted it back when her side still thought they were keeping the house. I closed the door and finished the walkthrough. I got the last of my things that summer. I packed 19 boxes and rented a hand truck. Packing the closet that summer, I found the name jar. I put it in her pile without opening it. There is also an email from her in my inbox. Sent the week the results came back. Subject line, one word, please. I have never opened that either. On my last box day, her sister had taken her and the baby out for the afternoon, and her car sat in the driveway while I loaded. Before I pulled out, I took the tracker back out of her wheel well. It was still there. It is in my toolbox now. I never turned it back on. I still work the overnight dock. I picked up the Sunday shifts this year, the ones nobody wants, and the checks got bigger, and every dollar of them is mine. Well, in my opinion, this might be the coldest wife I have ever covered on this channel. Think about what this woman actually did. This man spent 12 years and $14,000 trying to give her a baby. He sat in those clinics with her. He paid that money off for 2 years on the same card she was quietly using to pay her boyfriend's gym. And while he was doing that, she was running 2 men on a schedule on opposite sides of the county. 2 men is not a mistake. 2 men is a system. And then the pregnancy. She took the one thing this man wanted more than anything on this earth, the thing he had prayed for and paid for and grieved over, and she handed it to him as a cover story. She sat him down, took his hands, and used a decade of his hope to buy herself cover. And when the papers came, she showed you exactly who she was. She did not say sorry. She said, "The baby changes all of this." 9 days pregnant and already using that child as a shield, before the child could even be born, before she even knew whose child it was. That is the part I cannot get past. She did not know. She announced a miracle to her husband, and she did not know whose miracle it was. And she let that man agree to her grandmother's name for a girl that was never his. Her own father would not defend her. The man who raised her heard the word photographs and said, "Do what you have to do, son. When your own daddy will not pick up the phone for you, the whole county already knows what you are." She had a husband who worked nights so she could live soft, and she traded him for a ramp worker and a gym coach, and she walked out of that courthouse with no alimony, no house, and a baby whose father is a question mark. She did not lose that man. She threw him away, and now she gets to explain to that little girl someday why her birth certificate took an amended order. Well, her choices landed her right where she needed to land. See you in the next one.